For expert perspective on a Donald Trump presidency, I'm joined by Lehigh University political science professor Saladin Ambar. Welcome to our broadcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Day 5 of protests, I'm sure you are aware. Today, we know there was one outside of Trump Tower in New York, perhaps not as big, but still hundreds of people protesting immigration, we understand. What do we know about this, and what do the protesters want, actually?
Well, I think as much as anything, they want to be heard. I think they don't anticipate that Donald Trump is going to change his mind about building a wall or mass deportation. I think what they'd like to do is make it as publicly and politically difficult for him as possible to go forward in that direction, to put as much pressure on the Republican Party as possible, perhaps Republican insiders, to get him to, at a minimum, reconsider some of the more dramatic aspects of his proposed legislation. But they want to be heard at a minimum, and that's what you're hearing right now.
Okay, and we're looking right now at this protest today that was outside of Trump Tower in New York. We know that the president-elect has come out and will be on another network tonight talking about his stance on immigration, saying that immediately he would like 2 to 3 million convicted people of crimes to be sent back to where they came from immediately. Is this a different stance than what we heard in the campaign?
Well, no, not at all. I mean, I don't know if Donald Trump has ever put forth an exact number of how many people he wanted to deport at any one given time, particularly those who are convicted of crimes. I'm not sure where he's drawing those numbers from. But make no mistake, this is nothing surprising. He said he was interested in, willing to, and going to engage in a mass deportation of those who were here illegally, undocumented. And it seems that that is something he's not coming off of, despite the fact that he may seem to be willing to perhaps accommodate different views about Obamacare. Seems that this signature issue of his is one that he's quite beholden to.
There's this possible million-woman march that's planned on the day of Mr. Trump's inauguration. I'm sure that you've heard about it. Are these protests unprecedented when you take a look back at past election cycles?
Certainly in the immediate aftermath of an election, I recall there being protests when George W. Bush was elected the first time. And of course, that election had a great commonality with this one being the electoral vote nature of the victory for President Bush and for President-elect Donald Trump. Both of those campaigns ended in a popular vote loss for the nominee and future president. But not this immediately after the election. I can't recall, as someone who studied the presidency, this type of series of protests of this magnitude across the country in the immediate aftermath of a U.S. election. It's striking.
Post-election now, what do you make of his controversial rhetoric and toxic rhetoric that's really inflamed so much passion throughout the United States? Is this just talk?
Well, I don't know. Politics is never just talk. Frankly, I think talk has consequences. I think it was Oscar Wilde who said at one point that, there are two tragedies in life. One is not getting what you want. The other is getting what you want. This is what Republican voters and some independents, I imagine, and perhaps more than a few Democrats signed up for when they thought that voting for President-elect now Trump, particularly in those swing states, was on their target, was on their agenda. This is not surprising, and his talk and rhetoric certainly is incendiary, to say the least. Even for insider Republican officials who have long held conservative values at the fore of their ideology, this was surprising and shocking rhetoric. But nevertheless, this is what his voters and indeed the Republican Party signed up for.
Well, Professor Saladin Ambar, we appreciate your time joining us tonight. Thank you.